I just want to be a fun girl after crossing time and becoming a cute girl. Introduction. A fun girl is a mischievous female lead who continues to develop step by step and eventually becomes a perfect goddess. Single to Su Shuangwen, those who like this type can rest assured to enter the pit. Chapter 1. A New Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At first, Jiang Yuan couldn't accept the sudden death of staying up late and transitioning into a female high school student. Although JK, who is youthful and energetic, does fit her XP system. As someone who enjoys reading light novels on the internet, she can't help but fantasize about the benefits of a beautiful girl from heaven. Now that everything is good, she has become the welfare itself. Jiang Yuan, who lived in her past life, was a hardworking social animal. She came from an ordinary background and had a single mother and child. She worked very hard every day and lived a very oppressive life. Apart from reading novels to relax, she also loved to watch short videos. In this cold world, only those little sisters who can burn and wipe can bring warmth to her. And sometimes she also envies that being able to eat with her face is really satisfying. Therefore, at this moment, she saw her delicate and charming face in the mirror, admired it for a while, and gradually felt that this new life seemed not so difficult to accept. Well, it can only be said that the true fragrance law never goes out of style. Ding, happiness value plus 233, a system prompt sound suddenly appeared deep in Jiang Yuan's soul. She suddenly widened her eyes and became even happier. Wang Wenqing doesn't deceive me, what else should I wear without a system when traveling through time? Ding, happiness value plus 10086, next, she immediately began studying the system and soon understood its function roughly. The happiness value, or positive emotions generated by herself, can be transformed into attribute points and skill points to strengthen oneself. She glanced at her attribute panel and found that her physical fitness, strength, and other attributes were pitifully low. She also came with a negative entry for weak and sickly, which made her constitution point 10. However, she is completely calm. As long as she works hard to accumulate happiness values, she can elevate these attributes, and negative entries can also be upgraded. Weak and sickly, gray, can be upgraded to physically healthy, white, and even strong, blue. She only felt that this system was too suitable for her, because she had lived too hard in her past life and had never enjoyed the so-called youth during her student years. Therefore, it should be very simple to be a happy person and accumulate happiness in this life. She must relive the hardships she endured in her previous life. In addition to happiness value, she quickly discovered another value that the system can accumulate. Pain value. She originally thought that the pain value also came from herself and thought to herself that compared to the happiness value, the pain value was too difficult to accumulate, so she couldn't harm herself, could she? But after carefully examining the explanation of pain value, she realized that this actually refers to the negative emotions she collects from others through her own actions and influence. For example, she can collect them by telling scary ghost stories, or she can ruthlessly refuse others' confessions, causing people to break up. Good guy, what kind of benefiting oneself at the expense of others system is this? Unlike the happiness value used to strengthen oneself, the function of pain value is to open the system mall and refresh and purchase items inside. Jiang Yuan has played many games, and she directly understood happiness value as character experience, and as for pain value, it is naturally game currency. Although she was curious about what was being sold in the system mall, it was clear that happiness value was more important to her now than pain value, as her various attributes were too low. Originally, she was quite satisfied with her beautiful and charming appearance, but when she saw that the appearance attribute on the character panel was only 64 and the charm attribute was only 31, charm is a comprehensive evaluation, not only including appearance, but also reputation, talent, speech, etc., she immediately felt that her game character was not as popular. She stared closely at herself in the mirror. This short-haired girl in her first year of high school was too thin, with cold and white skin and a colorless face, as if a gust of wind could blow her down. Her whole body really fits the description of the term weak and sickly. Such a girl who is too white and thin has a lot of room for improvement. Anyway, Jiang Yuan, who has a system in her body, feels quite good about herself. Sisters has a good foundation. When I brush up my attribute values, I will directly transform into a goddess of perfection with full face value and charm, so that all the people attracted by her can't wait for her and suffer a lot. Now it directly solves the source of pain value. Although this is just a fantasy, it must be said that if she really develops herself into a successful person and becomes the coveted white moonlight in the minds of many people, it can indeed obtain a large amount of pain points. Who hasn't been tempted by a girl in their youth? It's strange to be brave enough to confess directly and then be rejected without suffering. If one is not brave enough to secretly fall in love, and then discovers any suggestive news about the possibility of the goddess falling in love with others, their heart will be very tormented and uncomfortable. Jiang Yuan couldn't help but laugh happily, her happiness value slowly rising again. In this life, she wants to be such a boring, I just want to see blood flowing, happy person. She is willing to try anything that can please herself, but of course she also has a bottom line in her heart. The river crab divine beast is not a joke. Next, she focused on the task list of the system. What she is most satisfied with about this system is that it is particularly free and loose, and there is no requirement to force the host to complete the specified task or to be punished if not completed at zhaozuiyuan.com. Just thinking about it, this system encourages the host to be a happy person. If there is something to do, force the host to do it, and the host will completely become a system tool person. It's strange that they can still be happy. She found that the reward after completing the task is mainly to obtain entries. For example, for the task of ranking first in the class in the monthly exam, after completing the task, one can obtain the learning expert, white, entry. Then she can spend her happiness points to upgrade the entry, which can be upgraded to learning expert, blue. On top of that, there are also omnipotent learning overlord, purple, and perfect learning god, gold, entries. Of course, in addition to directly adding happiness points, one can also work hard. For example, the term weak and sickly, gray, can be solved through persistent exercise. However, whether it is to persist in studying seriously or exercising, it is not an easy task for most people unless they are already interested in them. After roughly understanding the task system, Jiang Yuan finally received the beginner gift package from the system. Upon opening it, she found that it was actually a purple quality fashion set. JK uniform plus knee socks. Wearing the set can increase charm attributes, and at the same time, it has a better LSP effect on those who are JKXP. Well, isn't this LSP herself? But what's quite frustrating is that with her current attribute values, she still can't equip it. She wanted to wear it to reward herself. This anime-style dress that conforms to her XP will definitely increase her happiness. Forget it, having beautiful fashion is better than not having it, but what's more important in the beginner gift package is the memory of the original body. Chapter 2. The wise do not enter the river of love. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Yuan, who is familiar with online literature, is very knowledgeable about time travel etiquette. Naturally, if she has any original wishes, she will fulfill them for the other party, and if she has any grudges, she will report them for the other party. This is the confidence brought to her by the system. Jiang Yuan roughly browsed through the memories of her original body. This female high school student, also known as Jiang Yuan, comes from a complex family environment. Her father, Jiang Zhihao, is the youngest son of Jiang Wenzhong, a top local businessman in Jiangzhou province. He also has an older brother named Jiang Jiqing and a second sister named Jiang Qinqin. Jiang Zhihao was very favored when he was young, but as he grew up, he gradually became marginalized in the family because he was not a successful person and was a promiscuous playboy who showed mercy everywhere. My mother, Bai Jing, comes from an ordinary family background and has once ventured into the entertainment industry. She was a popular singer with excellent looks and temperament. Later, she was pursued by Jiang Zhihao, and they were also very affectionate. Together, they entered the palace of marriage and developed a love story. However, shortly after getting married, during Bai Jing's pregnancy, Jiang Zhihao fell back on his old ways. He never had a sense of loyalty to his marriage, and Bai Jing, who already had a negative entry for being weak and sickly, also had a weak personality. She swallowed her anger, felt depressed inside, and eventually passed away. The last sentence she left for her daughter was, "The wise do not enter the river of love," which made her original body always remember. At the same time, I deeply remember that my mother deeply regretted giving up her career and choosing to marry someone. In fact, due to issues with her background and career, Bai Jing has never been recognized by the Jiang family. After all, she is not the kind of female celebrity who has achieved success and fame. However, even if she is, being a legitimate wife of a wealthy family is not so easy. The death of Mother Bai Jing had a great impact on her original body, and her personality became increasingly introverted and melancholic. The most difficult thing for the original body to accept was that shortly after his mother passed away, his father married an extramarital wife who gave birth to a son, because this son named Jiang Hengyu made him very proud. The most crucial thing is that his father has never had a good face towards him, but because his son Jiang Hengyu is indeed very competitive, he has finally gained some face in the family circle. Compared to Jiang Hengyu, who is talented and radiant, the small and transparent person who has lost his mother and no sense of existence naturally has no one to care about. In summary, the original self was actually completely disappointed in the world after her mother passed away. She wanted to stay away from the Jiang family, completely sever ties with her father, but did not have the ability to survive alone. Now that her body has been taken over by Jiang Yuan of the binding system, it is actually a kind of liberation for her. Her wishes have also been included in the task list of the system. Wish 1. The wise will not enter the river of love. Maintaining a non-romantic state can continuously activate the entry. Hugin, Wish 2. To sever ties with my father, fulfill my mother's last wish, stay away from the Jiang family, be independent and have a successful career. If you choose to sing in your career, you will receive an entry. The Sound of Tina. Jiang Yuan finished browsing through her original memories and also learned about the other person's wishes through the task system. She felt that a wish was like giving away a buff for the Hugin entry, which was very comfortable. A cheerful person like her has no intention of dating at all. As a sea king or tea master, raising fish and dogs, causing various troubles, isn't it even happier? This is the operation of the wise. As for Wish 2, she thinks it still needs to be considered in the long run. It is almost impossible for a girl who has only been in high school for a short time to achieve independence and even pursue her own career. Even if she has a system, she needs to be given time for development. Jiang Yuan currently resides in a single apartment in a commercial district close to the Jiangzhou No. 1 middle school she attended. Her original personality was too introverted and socially fearful, and she didn't want to live in the school dormitory no matter what. At this point, she was once again compared to her younger brother Jiang Hengyu, who was only a few months younger than her. He had an outgoing and generous personality, and was not afraid of hardship, so he chose to live in the school dormitory directly. In addition, as one of the best high schools in the provincial capital city of Jiangcheng and even in Jiangzhou province, Jiang Hengyu was admitted to Jiangzhou No. 1 high school with his excellent grades and also entered the best experimental class of grade 1. However, Jiang Yuan, who had average grades, spent money through family connections and was assigned to the regular class of grade 3 in high school. Although this class is an ordinary class, due to its proximity to the previous 2 experimental classes, the teaching staff is basically the same as the previous 2 classes. Those who can be assigned to this class are either lucky, or their grades are only slightly worse than those of the experimental class, or they have family connections. Jiang Yuan looked around her living environment and was quite satisfied with this small single apartment. Although I'm sorry for my previous identity as a wealthy lady, it's really enjoyable not to live on campus. After school, it's all free time for her to accumulate happiness. Unfortunately, Jiangzhou No. 1 High School, which has a strict school atmosphere, forces all students to attend evening self-study, otherwise she would be even happier. The current time is on the weekend afternoon, and I have to go to school again tomorrow Monday. Jiang Yuan felt that she should make use of this time, so she flipped through the task list in the system to see if there were any simple tasks that could be easily completed. There are actually many simple tasks, and there are also some repeatable tasks, such as fitness, tasting food, reading books, etc. Completing them can slowly increase personal attributes, but to obtain entries, you also need to choose more challenging tasks. She came out of the apartment and planned to go to the bustling Weiwei Square next door to find fun. Weiwei real estate is one of the industries of the Jiang family, and the chairman is her grandfather Jiang Wenzhong. Her grandmother's name is Lu Yueru. As soon as she walked into the mall, she noticed a challenging task appearing on the system's taskbar. To proactively approach passers-by and reach out to 100 WeChat accounts. After completing the task, you can obtain the entry. Social Expert, White, which can be upgraded to Social Bull, Blue, followed by Social Terrorist, Purple. The term Social Influencer can help hosts quickly adapt to unfamiliar environments and create a sense of familiarity at first glance when actively communicating with strangers. The function of this entry impressed Jiang Yuan. In her past life, although she was not as socially fearful as her original self, she was also not good at socializing. She belonged to the kind of person who was very open in front of acquaintances but actively made friends, which was making things difficult for her. She sometimes envies those socialites. When she meets beautiful girls on the street, she really dares to approach them and can easily dominate the whole scene in unfamiliar environments. As for social terrorists, that's even more fierce. As long as you're not embarrassed, it's others who are embarrassed. Being a performance artist is more than enough. In addition to this challenging task, there is also a more challenging task. Being approached 100 times by strangers. The task reward is +3 for appearance and +3 for charm, earning the title, Street Goddess. Wearing this title can make the host more popular, increase the chance of being actively approached by high-appearance individuals, and make street photos more stunning easier to spread. Jiang Yuan took on both of these challenge tasks, and his heart was filled with excitement. He decided to have thick skin and complete the first challenge task of actively approaching passers-by. It has to be said that with the system in place, her courage has indeed doubled. Just like playing games, if it were in her past life, she would definitely be too timid to take the first step in actively approaching such things. Chapter 3. Sweating Profusely. You are listening at novelfull.audio. And to be honest, if the person who initiates this kind of conversation is a girl who looks delicate and introverted, harmless to humans and animals, then the success rate is definitely higher than that of men. It is currently mid-September, and Jiangzhou province is located in the south, with the weather still hot. Jiang Yuan, who has short hair, is wearing a T-shirt on top and denim shorts on the bottom. Although she is dressed in a very ordinary student style, her slender and frail figure does not attract much attention, but she excels in her snow-white skin, delicate temperament, and definitely gives people a good first impression. Although having a face value of 64 is not considered high, strictly speaking, it can only be considered as a middle person's posture, but if someone asks her, "Do you think you are a beautiful girl?" she dares to answer decisively, "I think I am." It is this inexplicable confidence, combined with the reward for completing challenging tasks, that drives her to take decisive action. Compared to approaching girls, she feels more confident in actively approaching men, especially those who have a strong sense of security in their appearance, are loyal and honest at first glance, and are not good at rejecting girls. The success rate of approaching should be the highest. At this moment, Jiang Yuan happened to pass by the shared gaming console area in the mall and saw a young man with an ordinary appearance and a slightly chubby figure playing console games with great concentration. This person is wearing thick black framed glasses, and the clothes he wears are very casual and unkempt. Judging from his age, he should be a college student or just graduated from college. Jiang Yuan's eyes flickered as she glanced at the screen. This console game should be a soul game that requires a lot of operation, and she couldn't figure out which soul game it was. She had already determined through her original memory that this was a parallel world, with even different country names and place names, not to mention cultural products. Of course, there are also some entertainment products that, like her former world, make her feel familiar, so if the other person is playing with an old man's ring or a wolf, that's perfect, and she immediately has a common language. The glasses youth is engaged in a boss battle, with fingers on the controller flipping and looking very maneuverable. However, when watching the game characters on the screen, it is clear that they are classic examples of being flustered, rolling around aimlessly, and frequently taking drugs. The boss of this type of soul game is easier to fight when he dies a lot and his back is familiar. He must not be greedy and reckless. Jiang Yuan stood quietly next to the sofa where the other party was sitting, deliberately showing an interest in the game content and ensuring that she could be noticed by the other party's attention. The name of the slightly chubby man with black framed glasses is Su Shuangwen. At first, he didn't care if there were people watching him play games. Generally, the onlookers would leave out of curiosity. However, what surprised him a little was that the person watching him play games was actually a girl. How many girls nowadays would be interested in soul games that torture players? Su Shuangwen is a student from a second-tier university in the university city of this provincial capital city. He is already in his senior year and has a lot of free time. His 4 years of college are basically just a passing experience, and he is considered successful if he does not fail or obtain a degree certificate. Unfortunately, he hasn't even been in a relationship. He doesn't want to be in love either, he just doesn't want to actively pursue girls. Isn't there really anyone who can't resist being a licking dog these days? Online male leads no longer pursue girls, being chased back is the mainstream. Moreover, who makes girls not like games? If there could be a clear progress bar, he would have taken action like a strategy game. And for boys like him who have an ordinary appearance, are not neat, and enjoy playing games, there are even fewer girls who take the initiative towards him. Sleeping trough, what's the situation with this girl? We haven't watched enough, and it's impolite to see how she's been tormented by the boss. Su Shuangwen is slandering, but the operation is getting even more difficult. Sweating profusely, brother. He actually really wants to show off in front of this girl who seems to be very interested in soul games, but his strength is not enough. He is the kind of soul game enthusiast who loves to play both vegetables and vegetables. As Jiang Yuan watched for a longer time, Su Shuangwen became more uncomfortable, but he was inherently cowardly and never dared to speak to a girl. He was even more embarrassed to rush people. After all, it was not illegal for someone to stand there watching a game. As the character controlled by Su Shuangwen died again, Jiang Yuan finally took the initiative to say, "This little brother, I think this game is very interesting. What is its name?" Due to the inclusion of the term, frail and sickly, her voice appeared lackluster, but it became increasingly soft and melodious, captivating the soul. When Su Shuangwen heard the girl's light and agile voice, he felt his heart scratched, a unique feeling. He couldn't help but lift his head, glanced at the other person, and immediately dodged his gaze. However, his heart was slightly disappointed. The other person's appearance couldn't be said to be poor, at least 6 points. A bare face was a bonus, while ordinary short hair and a wealthy figure were a bonus. Overall, it gave people a feeling of being delicate and charming, but it did not make people feel stunning at first glance. The game is called Dark Law Ring, which has just been released and has been quite popular recently. Su Shuangwen responded with restraint. He thought that once the girl received the answer, she would leave satisfied, but to his surprise, the other party didn't play according to the routine. The more reserved the boy was, the more confident and shameless Jiang Yuan became. She smiled and said, "Little brother, can I sit next to you and watch you play? This game is really interesting." Su Shuangwen is confused. Has he been approached? Oh my goodness, he's so old that he hasn't encountered such a thing before. While feeling happy in his heart, he couldn't help but increase his vigilance. Isn't this a new type of fraud? Su Shuangwen is still very self-aware. His ordinary-looking and unremarkable gaming house is also equipped with girls to actively approach him. Being vigilant, he honestly gave up his position and showed a gentle smile on his face, responding with a gentlemanly tone, "Sure, please take a seat." Who can bear to refuse such a beautiful and youthful student girl? To be honest, although this girl appears gentle and introverted on the surface, she never expected her behavior to be so contrasting. And when the young girl sat down without any grudges, Su Shuangwen felt even more dizzy and inexplicably proud in his heart. He decided to do a good job next and prove himself. This is probably like if there are beautiful girls watching next to the basketball court, then the boys sweating on the court will definitely be more enthusiastic. Then Su Shuangwen, who was full of pride, died again. There is no way. This is the daily routine of soul games, and it is precisely the repeated setbacks that will make players feel a huge sense of achievement after finally defeating the boss. "Little brother, can you play with the controller for me?" Jiang Yuan said gently, her agile eyes fixed on the boy, looking eager to try. Su Shuangwen happily handed over the controller, then touched his nose and smiled awkwardly, but said, "The level of this save is still too low. The health bar is too short, and the fault tolerance is low. Otherwise, this boss would definitely be easy to handle. In addition, I am still used to using the PS controller, and the Xbox controller doesn't feel sensitive enough." After skillfully shaking the pot, he enthusiastically reminded the girl that the difficulty of this game was indeed too high, so don't let the little pearl fall just because of being abused by the boss inside. Due to the stereotype that female players are more difficult to play action games, coupled with the girl's naturally delicate temperament, like fragile porcelain dolls, he developed a strong desire for protection. But next, Jiang Yuan's actions left him stunned. Chapter 4 is all about tool people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The controller operations of soul games are generally similar, so Jiang Yuan, who has a foundation in his past life, has no difficulty getting started. And the most crucial thing is that just as she was watching this boy being brutally murdered by the boss, the Hugan entry was activated, and it was very natural for her to backtrack the boss's actions, moves, and so on. She could easily predict everything, and she had already seen through it. The existence of the Hugan entry is to increase her observation, understanding, and comprehension. A wise person who will never fall in love deserves this entry. As the saying goes, women only affect the speed at which I draw my sword. So Su Shuangwen saw this scene. The boss, who had just tormented him to the point of death, seemed like a stupid bee when faced with this delicate young girl. He was powerless and furious on the screen, his health bar kept decreasing, while the girl's operation appeared orderly, as if everything was in her calculations. Elegant, confident, indifferent Su Shuangwen was shocked. His stereotypical impression of female players being mediocre was directly shattered by this seemingly weak but actually strong and elegant young girl. However, what impressed Su Shuangwen the most was his discovery that the joy emanating from the girl's focus on the game was so infectious. This is a confidant and a fellow believer. His vigilance towards young girls has completely disappeared. Such a gaming expert, he really wants to make friends with them. That's right, while Jiang Yuan was enjoying playing games, her happiness also slowly increased, and the smile on her face never disappeared. This kind of smile filled with joy is indeed very infectious. When Jiang Yuan successfully killed the boss, Su Shuangwen appeared even more excited than her. "That's amazing, are you an old ass?" The old ass refers to experienced players who have played Dark Souls many times and have advanced skills. Although this parallel world does not have an old man ring or only a wolf, the Black Souls series does still exist. Jiang Yuan is not actually considered an old ass, but because the buff with the entry, Hugin, continues to take effect, it appears that she has a high understanding of the game and is skilled in gameplay. As long as she doesn't fall in love, she can always enjoy this bonus. Hehe, are you okay? Little brother, why don't you add a V? We'll have the opportunity to play online together in the future. Jiang Yuan finally saw through his fingers. Su Shuangwen was once again stunned, suspecting whether he was dreaming. He was getting angry, and it was the first time he had been asked for WeChat by a stranger's beautiful girl at this age. He actually wanted to take the initiative to ask for the other person's contact information at a certain moment, not because the other person is a good-looking girl, but because their actions have indeed conquered him, and he really wants to make friends with this kind of high play. If the other party were a boy, he would have taken action long ago, but because the other party was a girl, he hesitated, timid, and afraid of being rejected. Many times, fate is often missed in this hesitation. Jiang Yuan naturally successfully got to WeChat, and the task progress bar was also pushed forward by 1%. During this proactive conversation, she gained a considerable amount of happiness, which is a win-win situation. But after that, the tool man lost its function and she left without any attachment. Su Shuangwen had no idea that he was just a tool man. His ears seemed to still echo the soft and cute little brother of the other person. He was still imagining playing games online with beautiful girls in the future. After returning to school that day, he told his roommate about this dreamy experience, but it made him laugh. How many dishes did he drink like this? But he proudly displayed the girl's WeChat account in front of his roommate, who was indeed exposed, and he began to doubt life. Is it really possible for such an ugly man to be approached and asked for WeChat by a girl in real life? That's right, in the eyes of his roommates, Su Shuangwen is just an ugly man with a maximum of 3 points in appearance. Why did he let such a beautiful girl take the initiative? After getting off to a good start, Jiang Yuan became more confident in the task of asking for WeChat to initiate a conversation and frequently took action. Although she had also been rejected multiple times and the situation was indeed awkward, when she got used to being rejected, her heart became even more resilient. Some things, once seen through, make people more open-minded. If rejected, they will be rejected, and they will not lose a piece of flesh. So why not be bolder? In fact, most men are quite cooperative, even those with girlfriends who just happen to go to the restroom and ask for WeChat on their own without being turned off. Many men, when approached with such a conversation, are likely to have an explosion of confidence and feel invincible charm. They will be excited all day long. Unfortunately, there was no follow-up at all, they were just tool people. And in the end, Jiang Yuan finally dared to take action against the girl, and even chose the kind of girl with high looks and difficult to approach. The first thing she did was, "Little sister, you look so beautiful. Can you add a WeChat account and make friends to get to know her?" Of course, there are also successes and failures. Some people are naturally vigilant, while others think that Jiang Yuan looks good. It's okay to add a WeChat account to Shuyuan www.jiaoshuyuan.com and make friends. In the process of initiating a conversation, Jiang Yuan realized that women were just like that. As long as she had thick skin and was willing to go out, she didn't care about the gender issue of the tool person. Ding, the challenge task has been completed and the rewards have been distributed. Jiang Yuan spent an afternoon and some time in the evening finally completing this challenge task. Seeing the addition of a positive entry for social influencer in her character panel attributes, she smiled with satisfaction, and her happiness increased. She liked the feeling of upgrading and strengthening. Speaking of which, she realized that after experiencing such a task, even without this entry, she felt that she would no longer have social anxiety when facing strangers. Unfortunately, the progress of the challenge task that was approached 100 times by strangers did not move at all. It seems that her current appearance and charm are not enough, or in places like shopping malls, she is not so easily approached. At night, she lay in bed, feeling her already weak body as if it had been emptied. She decisively transformed some happiness points into attribute points and added them to her physique. She is not in a hurry to improve her appearance and charm. Her body is the capital of revolution. First, she should bring up basic attributes such as physique, strength, and agility, so that she can feel more secure. With the increase of physical attributes, Jiang Yuan only felt that his originally empty body had injected tremendous vitality, and the negative entry, weak and sickly, was actually shattered. Then she spent her happiness value reshaping the entry, until her accumulated happiness value bottomed out. The entry for weak and sickly finally became healthy. It's comfortable now. She is no longer a weak and sickly social anxiety, but a healthy social influencer. Who is Jiang Yuan in Chapter 5? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Anyone who has been sick, or is currently in a sick state, will understand how valuable it is to have a healthy body. The negative entry of weak and sickly body by Jiang Yuan before can be said to be a time bomb, and it is unknown when she will encounter the erosion of illness. Once she falls ill, she will definitely experience loss of appetite, mental fatigue, and a sharp decrease in happiness, which can greatly affect her pace of improving attribute values. In the memory of the original body, this body with extremely poor immunity often fell ill, and every time the season changed, it would catch a cold and have a fever. Over time, the original body became increasingly melancholic and disgusted with the world. Therefore, no matter what, Jiang Yuan felt that this happiness value was spent very well. Although the term good health is just the most common white term, as long as it exists, it can greatly reduce the probability of getting sick. Jiang Yuan put down a big stone in her heart and slept soundly. When she woke up, the system reminded her that her happiness had increased, which was not a problem. Sleeping soundly can indeed make people feel happy. When she woke up in the morning, while washing up, she observed herself in the mirror and found that her complexion was completely different from before. Previously, her face had always been sickly pale, giving people a feeling of lifelessness. And now, although her skin is still cold and white, her complexion has been completely refreshed. However, her aura of self-pity, like that of a Western beauty, still exists, quite confusing. To Jiang Yuan's surprise, as the term frail and sickly became physically healthy, her charm increased from 31 to 34. Perhaps the term social influencer also played a role. Sometimes it has to be admitted that lively and outgoing people are more popular than those who are too introverted and introverted. Next, after having breakfast with a happy mood, Jiang Yuan took the bus to Jiangzhou No. 1 Middle School, according to her original memory. It can only be said that this young lady with weak presence was not valued by her family, and she did not even receive the treatment of a special car for transportation. Jiang Yuan, who is used to suffering, doesn't care. He just takes a bus. In the morning, there are few people, and there are only 2 stops to school. The commuting time is more than 10 minutes, which is too happy for the community animal. And for campus life, Jiang Yuan is still very much looking forward to it. Firstly, the school will definitely create more challenging tasks, and secondly, as long as she maintains a mindset of remembering hardships and cherishing sweetness, she can definitely accumulate more happiness in it. The more people who have experienced social abuse, the more they understand how carefree and free the lush campus time is. Jiang Yuan was also a small-town swat, and his youth was immersed in books. In this new life, she decided to enjoy high school campus life as much as possible with a more detached and open-minded mindset. In summary, finding fun and accumulating happiness is the most important thing. As for academic performance, being able to rely on cheating is the confidence that the Hugan entry brings to her. Only 2 stops away, it took about 10 minutes for Jiang Yuan to arrive at the school gate smoothly. The entrance of Jiangzhou No. 1 High School is still very grand, and the school covers a considerable area. The campus facilities are luxurious and complete, making it one of the top prestigious high schools in the province. When entering the gate, there were also security guards who were watching closely to check the day student ID card. According to her original memory, the vast majority of students in Class 3 of her first year of high school were boarding students, and they came from various parts of the province, which can be considered as provincial recruitment classes, with less than 10-day students. At this moment, the morning reading class was about to begin, and Jiang Yuan walked into the classroom without attracting anyone's attention. Her original presence in the classroom was too low, and she was socially fearful. Apart from being familiar with her desk mate Zhang Xiaolan, she didn't even remember all the names of her classmates. Of course, others may not know her name. After all, it has only been 2 weeks since school started, and due to physical reasons, she did not participate in military training, so naturally she did not integrate into this group. When Jiang Yuan sat in her seat, Zhang Xiaolan didn't take the initiative to talk to her. Because in Zhang Xiaolan's view, this desk mate with extremely low presence is not good at communicating with others, and even afraid of communicating with others. Therefore, it is better not to disturb the other person. Having such a desk mate, although very quiet, is indeed very boring. Jiang Yuan was not in a hurry to change her original style. She took out the Chinese language textbook for this world and started playing the game of everyone finding fault alone. Sure enough, she found that some texts were the same as her previous world, while others were different. Wait, why are all Lu Sun's articles gone? Oh. It's because Lu Sun is gone, so it's okay. It has to be said that for some carnivores, his works are indeed too harsh and can be very painful to watch. She couldn't help but open the political textbook again and found that she didn't teach dragon slaying anymore, only how to love the country. So the question came, you are very patriotic, who will love you? Just as Jiang Yuan was addicted to comparing the differences in textbooks between two worlds, the arrival of the homeroom teacher and Chinese teacher Su Shuangwen caught the attention of the whole class. Although the homeroom teacher Su Shuangwen is male in gender, due to his sharp voice, unpredictable personality, and quick temper, his anger can be extremely frightening. As a result, his classmates privately gave him the title of Eunuch Chiu, which shows how unpopular he is. Su Shuangwen is an old-fashioned teacher who never laughs with his students, but always maintains his dignity. He believes that only by instilling a sense of awe in students can they not disobey him, and in this way, the entire class will be better managed. Su Shuangwen walked to the podium with a gloomy face. The sparse reading sounds in the classroom made him very dissatisfied, but what made him even more dissatisfied was the results of the school opening survey that just came out yesterday. Everyone, pause for a moment. This Chinese morning reading class, we have a class meeting, and then I have to adjust the seats of the whole class, Su Shuangwen announced. Next, he began a storm-like lecture. Although Class 3 of the first year of high school is not an experimental class, in reality, the top 40 students are all admitted through exams aimed at candidates from all over the province, and the quality of the students is definitely not bad. However, it is obvious that their ranking in the final exam grade does not satisfy this arrogant homeroom teacher. Su Shuangwen also serves as a Chinese teacher for Class 1 of the first year of high school, and as a special level teacher, his teaching level is very high. For those students who rank lower and enter this class through back doors, Su Shuangwen is extremely disdainful in his heart. As long as they don't cause trouble and affect the students with good grades in front, he will treat them as non-existent. Unfortunately, Jiang Yuan is such a related student. Her total score in the opening survey exam is 43rd in the class, with a total of 56 students in the class. She did not fall into the bottom 10 and 1. She, who has no sense of existence, was completely ignored by Su Shuangwen when searching for books on www.zhaosuiyuan.com. However, students with poor grades and lack of discipline will be harshly targeted by Su Shuangwen. Of course, even if the grades are good, there are no students who are as good as the sky. If they are also very mischievous and like to make trouble in the class, they will be severely suppressed by him. He wants to adjust the seats of the whole class because the current seats are casually occupied since the start of school, with friendly classmates gathering together, especially boys, which is like dragging each other's legs. After the lecture, Su Shuangwen made bold adjustments to his seats, and many of the classmates who had been separated and had excellent relationships showed helplessness and reluctance on their faces. Gentle. You have something to say to Gu Yongming that you don't play with, right? You just play around all day, and now you change seats with Zhang Xiaolan and sit next to Jiang Yuan. Su Shuangwen said rudely, but in fact, he is quite optimistic about the potential of being gentle. This boy ranked 7th in the class in the final exam, and the most important thing is that his essay is indeed well written, with a little talent. When Mi was stunned, he almost wanted to ask back, who is Jiang Yuan? Fortunately, he knew about Zhang Xiaolan, and then he looked at Jiang Yuan beside her curiously. His face suddenly changed, as if he was wearing a mask of pain. Oh no, he who likes to talk has been assigned a mute desk mate. Jiang Yuan looked indifferent and lost in thought, but at this moment, the sound of the system rang in her ear. Ding, from the gentle pain point plus 233, the malfunction has been automatically activated. Jiang Yuan was suddenly surprised and didn't expect the first pain point to come like this. However, what left her speechless was that this guy was so averse to being her desk mate. He looked like he was going to jail wearing a mask of pain. Chapter 6. The Battle of White Moonlight. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At this moment, Jiang Yuan's mind was completely attracted by the dazzling array of products in the system mall. There are many categories of products, such as equipment, which actually refers to various beautiful clothes, shoes, accessories, etc. that can increase one's own attributes. She can classify the JK uniform plus knee socks set she opened from the beginner gift package as equipment. Equipment can be permanently purchased and collected, and of course, it can also be experienced for a limited time with less pain. The most enchanting thing for Jiang Yuan was undoubtedly magical equipment like the invisible cloak, flying broom, and divine walking boots, which were only found in fantasy works. However, the pain value of that day made her sigh and feel like the system was drawing a pie. In addition to equipment, there are also various magical props and consumables, such as stamina potions and energy potions, which are cost-effective and very practical. There are even recipes, and the host can make delicious food based on the system's recipe. After eating them, they will also have special buff effects. However, compared to these props that enhance oneself, Jiang Yuan found that there are more props in the mall that are actually pranks and make others suffer. The recipes are even mostly dark cuisine, and the food made by the host based on the dark cuisine recipe appears to be full of color, aroma, and fragrance, which is extremely confusing. However, if it is eaten by others, it may be tricked and activate a temporary entry for Jet Fighter, including entertainment works that can be exchanged for pain points. Almost all of them are of the melancholic style, making the knife go crazy. It is obvious that the system is encouraging the host to manipulate the mindset of others and collect negative emotions. Then you can also purchase pets and summoning beasts, but they are basically the kind with a unique art style that looks very evil at first glance, such as tentacle monsters. Cute is impossible to be cute, and the main focus is on practicality. The scarier the more disgusting it is, the more it can have the effect of making others afraid. Jiang Yuanxin said that fortunately she is not an evil person, otherwise if she were to focus on collecting pain points, she would probably ruin the whole world. She mainly focuses on collecting happiness points to strengthen herself, while pain points can be exchanged for items, pets, and so on. She will use them as a means of protection. If someone violates me, I will not. If someone violates me, then wait for her to torment them. The cheapest item in the system mall is a blind box that can be exchanged for 1,000 pain points. It is guaranteed that you can receive a stamina potion worth 2,000, or other more valuable items, with a limit of 3 purchases per month. Jiang Yuan saw that the blind box was so cheap and even restricted her purchases. After playing too many games, she immediately understood that this should be a player benefit. If she accumulated enough pain points in the future, she must first exchange the blind box before making any further purchases. And just as Jiang Yuan was indulging in the system mall, her desk mate had already changed from Zhang Xiaolan to gentle. With a gentle face that looked unattainable, he genuinely didn't want to be separated from his former desk mate Gu Yongming. He and Gu Yongming are roommates in the same dormitory. They share the same interests and have endless topics to talk about, from politics to sports, from philosophy to literature, from games to girls. They can also discuss topics they don't know, and their grades are both good. Gu Yongming ranked 5th in the class in this round of bottom exam. In key high schools like Jiangzhou No. 1 Middle School, students with good grades come with their own filters, making it easy for them to play with each other. And for the new desk mate Jiang Yuan, being gentle is truly a heartfelt resistance. Firstly, being female is the original sin. It's not that he's gentle and punches men, but that he has a psychological shadow over his female desk mate. He has worked as a desk mate with girls from elementary school to junior high school, but his personality has become more and more irritable. He often likes to pinch and poke people, is stingy and troublesome, and even divides into 3 or 8 lines. If he goes beyond a point, it is like invading neighboring countries, jumping directly. Gentle is actually what his name suggests. He has a gentle temperament and strong ability to handle pressure. He also has a pretty appearance, but he's a bit talkative. He really doesn't know why, he always gets targeted by girls. Secondly, Jiang Yuan's performance as a new desk mate is a pity. If he insists on being a desk mate with a girl, he would rather sit with someone with good grades as he has a filter for those with good grades. He thinks the most beautiful girl in the class must be Luya, the English class representative. Her temperament is too perfect, and her grades are still 3rd in the class. The combination of the two is unbeatable. As for Ling Weiwei, the recognized class flower, discussed in the male dormitory during military training at night, he thinks she is not as good as Luya because her grades are only ranked 27th in the class. When Gu Yongming found out that Luya's charm was actually surpassing Ling Weiwei's in his gentle heart, he couldn't help but tease his friend, saying that your child's XP was actually a grade. A gentle and rigorous rebuttal, his XP is a ponytail, and of course, there is also a white moonlight temperament. He basically described it according to Luya's image. Gu Yongming smiled as he could see through it without saying it. However, there were indeed many boys in the class who had a crush on Luya. Although Ling Weiwei had more delicate facial features and higher appearance, her slightly darker skin color and too manly personality led the boys to recognize her beauty, but she was not easily conquered by her. And Luya always gives people a feeling of elegance and tranquility, and her English accent is also very authentic and charming. She is always praised by English teachers, and everyone can't help but feel in their hearts, wow, this girl is so charming. At this moment, when Shun secretly looked at Jiang Yuan, who seemed to be in a daze, and looked for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Apart from her extremely fair skin, he couldn't find any bright spots on this girl's body. She was too ordinary, and too lifeless. In the male community, the name Jiang Yuan does not appear frequently. People's impression of her is extreme introverted, reserved, and like a mute. They don't even know what her voice is like. As if it were a convention, the teachers didn't shout for Jiang Yuan to answer questions, and she took sick leave frequently, appearing and disappearing. What he didn't know was that his extreme resistance and deep-seated contempt for Jiang Yuan had already activated a terrifying switch because at this moment, Jiang Yuan discovered that the system's task list had created a special task with a very generous reward. Task name: Battle of White Moonlight. Task description: In the hearts of your new desk mate and many boys in the class, the only white moonlight girl is the English class representative Luya. Please replace Luya in all aspects and win the white moonlight battle. Task reward. Large amount of happiness and pain points, entry 4, white moonlight. Special reward. Gentle, P.S. This summoning beast has a growth quality of purple, special literary skills, loyal dog characteristics, never give up on abuse, high pain output. After successfully capturing it, all pain points collected from its future literary works belong to the player. Jiang Yuan was stunned, didn't she? Can real people also be tamed into summoning beasts? This system is too evil, isn't it? Jiang Yuan complained bitterly about the system, and then took over the task quietly. There's nothing else interesting about it. She's just a happy person and doesn't care much about task rewards. She's just curious about what interesting results will happen after completing this task. Chapter 7. T-Sister Mode, Start. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The task was assigned, but Jiang Yuan had no idea how to become the white moonlight in the hearts of boys. Her brain rapidly rotated, suddenly feeling that she could refer to her past life memories. Yes, although she was a forced small-town swat and a squeezed livestock worker in her previous life, she also had a humble secret love when she was a student after graduating from high school. She naturally had no intersection with the white moonlight goddess, so much so that the goddess's image in her mind was always perfect. In fact, the lack of intersection is crucial. If you see the goddess in despair after many years, the image of the white moonlight will be basically shattered. Therefore, there is also a saying that, dead white moonlight is the most perfect. A girl who can become a white moonlight must be dazzling and full of presence. She is excellent in all aspects and is elegant and generous in her way of life. Every frown and smile is full of charm. She is very gentle and understanding towards everyone, but when she wants to get close to her, she finds herself unable to go any further. She has a sense of distance that is both expected and unattainable. The more delicate Jiang Yuan is, the more delicate her expression becomes. Isn't this kind of white moonlight goddess necessarily skilled in good tea art? It seems that most boys eat this kind of thing. One by one, they despise tea sister, but in reality, there is a chance to taste tea. That's something we should try no matter what. Tea sister, don't slander her, she is a reasonable and understanding good girl. Jiang Yuan thought of her inherent, delicate little white flower, temperament, and playing the role of tea sister was like adding wings to a tiger. She immediately felt a sense of direction in completing this task. However, the first step is to keep a flowing head of long hair. She is the one who controls black and straight the most, and her current appearance and temperament are also more suitable for keeping long hair. Due to her mother's early death, she didn't know how to dress up and didn't have the heart to dress up. So let her dress up well and make herself happy and happy forever. Unfortunately, growing long hair is not something that can be completed in a day or two, so it's better to let go of the task of becoming a white moonlight. However, playing the role of tea sister in school can now be put into practice. When Jiang Yuan played tea sister, she had one advantage over other girls, which was that she understood boys better. At this time, it was the break time in the morning, with a 25-minute break. Jiang Yuan casually began to gently test the knife with her desk mate. During the first two breaks, Wen Shun seemed unable to accept the situation where he and his friend Gu Yongming were far apart and ran over to continue their relationship. However, this may also be related to Lu Yat sitting in front of Gu Yongming. When he was chatting with Gu Yongming, he was like a peacock on the screen, with some of his attention still focused on Luya, hoping that the talent he showed would catch Luya's attention. Gu Yongming looked at Luya with a smile and didn't poke it. He had no feelings for Luya, so he didn't have any sense of gain or loss. His relationship with Luya was also good, and the other party would turn back to chat with him after class, sometimes discussing topics together. And being gentle in front of Luya, she couldn't let go at all. Although she was a talkative person, she liked to pretend to be aloof, so she might feel that this was the only way to maintain her image. In fact, his gentle appearance is quite good, with clear eyebrows and beautiful eyes. He is a classic and handsome person. If girls communicate with him, their first impression of him will not be bad. He is talkative, and when he says hi, he will also witty words and frequent cold jokes, making the other person laugh. Humor is definitely a bonus for boys, as it can provide emotional value to girls. During this 25-minute break, Wen Shun did not take any further action. He lay lifeless on his desk, but his gaze remained fixed on the direction of Gu Yongming and Luya in the fourth group, almost like a watchman's stone. His current seat is in the first group, with the class corridor outside, not by the window. Jiang Yuan is by the window. Jiang Yuan took the initiative to lightly pat her gentle right arm with her hand. As he withdrew his gaze, turned his head, and looked at his desk mate with a weak sense of presence, she showed a kind smile. Her cherry lips opened and she said softly, "Hello, may I ask if your name is Wen Shun?" The entry for social influencer can stimulate and make a great first impression on social partners. Wen Mi was indeed stunned for a moment, mainly because he never expected that the mute female desk mate would take the initiative to talk to him, and what surprised him the most was the other person's voice, which was soft and pleasant. "What kind of treasure girl is this?" My name is Wen Shun." Warm and smooth, "Hello Jiang Yuan." Wen Shun regained consciousness and responded politely. He had previously looked at Jiang Yuan casually and felt that his appearance was quite average and indistinguishable, not as good as his goddess Luya. However, upon closer inspection of his appearance, he naturally changed his previous perception. He found that Jiang Yuan's skin was delicate, snow-white, flawless, with agile eyes like a deer, slender eyelashes, and a soft and cute voice. She also had a pitiful and delicate temperament, which easily aroused others to be protective. Zhaozhuyuan.com 1. Do you really reject being my desk mate? Jiang Yuan's tone was slightly aggrieved, with her agile eyes fixed on the other person. Her eyes were watery and misty, seemingly filled with endless melancholy, so lovable. Being gentle, he couldn't resist staring at this delicate girl. He panicked and moved his eyes away, saying hurriedly, "Of course not. Jiang Yuan, I would be happy to sit with you, but I'm not good at communicating with girls." After the docile talker opened his mouth, he began to talk incessantly, mainly about how he had been bullied by his female desk mate, and from then on, he developed a psychological shadow. Finally, he said pleasantly, "Jiang Yuan, you are definitely not the kind of girl who can bully others. You look very gentle and kind at first glance. Actually, your voice is quite pleasant. You can talk more or sing. There is no mistake. Your voice, when singing, must be very pleasant." Jiang Yuan kept an elegant but polite smile on his face, but in his heart he could not help roast that the words of the two men at the same table were really many. Is he really talented in literature? Is not it nonsense literature? Singing. I don't know how to, but if you like one, I can learn for you. Mom used to tell me to make more friends at school, but I was too timid. But now that I meet one, I want to muster up my courage. Jiang Yuan responded with utmost sincerity on the surface, her eyelids drooping, pretending to be timid and shy, and the T-sister mode fully opened. In fact, this type of T-art is still too low-end, deliberate, and not smooth enough, but Jiang Yuan is not a professional either, and it is enough to be used to try out high school students. The gentleness of the chatterbox, at this moment, was directly silenced, and everyone else fainted. Chapter 8. She is very insecure. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course, being gentle won't doubt that Jiang Yuan is acting. This younger sister can't be deceitful based on her appearance. With rich imagination, he even added a lot of brain teasers and naturally regarded Jiang Yuan as the kind of girl who was extremely socially fearful but also longed for friends. So let him guide this girl well and help her integrate more smoothly into the class collective. In fact, for many men, they really enjoy playing the role of mentors. Lu Sun has been arranged with such a famous saying. Men have two major hobbies: bringing good women into the water, and persuading virtuous women to follow the rules. If a mentor acts well and gradually guides a girl into her ideal image, it will generate a great sense of achievement. After silence, he gently scratched his head and said in the gentlest and most coaxing tone of his life, "Jiang Yuan, I am very willing to be your friend. It is good to muster courage. In the future, you will have more friends in the class." Then he succeeded in seeing the blooming smile on the girl's face, and the girl responded more sincerely, "One, your personality is really good. Please take care of it in the future." He grinned so gently that his ears were wide open. He had never sat with such a cute and soft girl before. Oh my God, how could those female tyrannosaurs compare to Jiang Yuan's classmates in the past? If his previous female desk mates were all in this style, how could he resist sitting with a girl? Let's take care of each other, hee. By the way, I really think your voice is beautiful and suitable for singing. My favorite is Guangliang's Fairy Tales and Encounter by unusual singer Stephanie Sunday. Wen Shun praised again. Jiang Yuan silently jotted down these two songs. She had not yet had the chance to pay attention to the music industry in this world, but she did not expect that Guangliang and Stephanie Sun would still exist in this parallel world. She just didn't know if her favorite Jay Cho was still around. Curious, at noon, while having lunch in the school cafeteria, Jiang Yuan secretly took out her phone and specifically searched for Zhou Dong. Jiangzhou No. 1 Middle School completely prohibits students from using mobile phones, just because Jiang Yuan is a day student. As long as she is brave enough not to be caught by the teacher, she can secretly play. The search results came out quickly. The good news is that Jay Cho still exists, while the bad news is that his songs are not the same as in his past life, lacking many classics. Of course, there are also many new songs that she has never heard before, which is unexpected joy. Old Jay is a fan of the gospel. What surprised Jiang Yuan the most was that Zhou Dong had written two songs for her mother, by Jing, in this world. They were singers of the same era, during the era when Chinese music immortals fought at the beginning of the century. The two songs that Jay Cho wrote to Bai Jing were Little and Amnesia. These two songs were sung by Joey Young and Liang Jingru in their past lives, but in this world, they were sung by Bai Jing. Jiang Yuan felt that the occurrence of such a butterfly effect was quite a wonderful thing. Next, she couldn't help but search for the QQ Music Big Three in this world, only to find that Su Song and Wang Sulong were gone, replaced by two other singers she was completely unfamiliar with. So, this seemingly paradoxical parallel world often confuses Jiang Yuan's memory. Some cultural and entertainment works, because both worlds exist, make her feel familiar, and some unfamiliar cultural and entertainment works that come out of it make her eyes darken. She decided to go home after school today and listen to all the songs sung by her deceased mother, by Jing, first. After all, she still had a wish to fulfill her mother's last wish. Jiang Yuan has no intention of breaking into the entertainment industry and becoming a professional singer, but she believes that learning the skill of singing is quite interesting. It can not only please herself, increase happiness, but also be very practical. In her past life, she had incomplete 5 notes. Sometimes when she went with colleagues, she couldn't sing at all and could only play the original voice, which made her very helpless. And in my student days, if I could sing a good song, I could show off at any party and directly win the priority of choosing a spouse. Since you want to become a dazzling goddess of white moonlight, the more halos you have, the better. Jiang Yuan put away her phone and started eating seriously. Just when she stepped into the school canteen, she took on another challenge task, clean your plate campaign. As long as she had eaten all the hard-to-swallow meals in the canteen for 7 consecutive days, she could get the term food. The term foodie serves the purpose of not gaining weight while also increasing nutrient absorption and accelerating the growth of physical attributes. It can also be upgraded to foodie, blue, foodie, purple, and divine tongue, gold. For such positive terms, Jiang Yuan certainly won't let them go. It's great to think about whether you're fat or not. In the future, you can enjoy delicious food to your heart's content, which is also very joyful. The term God's tongue also makes her yearn for it. Isn't it the talent of the young lady in the food anime to shave and paint Rina? You are the young lady, and I am also the young lady. It is reasonable to have a divine tongue in the future, isn't it? In addition, she doesn't think the food in the cafeteria is difficult to swallow. Maybe she's used to it. In her past life, she ate cheap takeout every day, and the taste was not as good as the big pot rice in this cafeteria. Jiang Yuan also had lunch alone in the cafeteria. Although I became friends with my desk mate this morning, it is obvious that the two male and female students alone will not eat together. It is too ambiguous and can be considered a live target. Jiangzhou No. 1 High School is too strict about early love. If you really want to fall in love, you will only engage in underground love. In the cafeteria, Jiang Yuan's solitary state was also noticed by gentleness. He felt very uncomfortable in his heart and increasingly felt that the other person was likable. Because at this moment, he was sitting opposite Gu Yongming, having a meal together, chatting and eating, feeling really happy. Ah Shun, how are you getting along with your new desk mate? Gu Yongming asked curiously. It's okay, she's actually quite cute, she smiled gently. Zhaoshuyuan.com, cute. Gu Yongming was slightly surprised. Do you know how my new desk mate, Zhang Xiaolan, evaluates her? How did you evaluate it? She may have autism, and her health is very poor. She has been taking medication and often takes sick leave. In addition, her family conditions are not good, so she is very insecure and dare not look up when speaking. Gu Yongming repeated Zhang Xiaolan's evaluation. And the reason why Zhang Xiaolan came to this conclusion, of course, was observed from the details. As for girls, if the family conditions are good, they must be well raised, and they will be raised very finely, without any shortage of anything, like a little princess. However, the feeling that Jiang Yuan gives people is like a neglected weed, just like the lyrics of that song, a child without a mother is like a root grass. Ah. I'm not sure about that, but she's really timid. I've talked to you before, and all of my female roommates were at the same table as Tyrannosaurus Rex. This time, it's rare to sit with such a soft girl. At first, I was really not used to it, she forced a gentle smile. Such girls are very sensitive, don't bully them. Lao Gu, don't slander me. When I sit at the same table as a girl, it's usually me who gets bullied. Alright, I won't bully a girl. The two of them had almost finished their meal, so they went together to pour out the leftovers from the plate. The plate had to be folded there before they could finish. Then they happened to pass by Jiang Yuan and saw this scene. Jiang Yuan had already finished her meal, but she didn't even want to waste a little leftover food. She even wanted to drink all the free seaweed egg soup. Her eyes seemed to be filled with devout devotion to food. After all, this was the key to obtaining the foodie entry. But in the eyes of Wen Shun and Gu Yongming, this girl may indeed have poor family conditions, which is why she is so frugal and unwilling to waste any food. Chapter 9. Unexpected Gains. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Yuan certainly didn't know that she would be misunderstood by her former desk mate Zhang Xiaolan, who also spread a rumor that her family conditions are not good, and she is very insecure. More coincidentally, because she wanted to complete the task of Clean Your Plate campaign to obtain food entries, her practice of not wasting any food was also noticed by some people. Her seat happened to be quite close to the place where the dishes were poured, so it wasn't just Gentle and Gu Yongming noticed, but also other classmates in the class. So this further confirms this rumor. It's not Jiang Yuan's fault, but the food in the school canteen is really ordinary. Few students can clean your plate campaign like her. How bad is it? There are many students who are too lazy to go to the cafeteria to eat, so they go directly to the school cafeteria to buy chicken chops or instant noodles. The taste is much better than the pig food in the cafeteria. Some students with better family conditions and greater courage can secretly order takeout or borrow a day student ID from their classmates to sneak out of school and go to restaurants. Accommodation students from less affluent families often look forward to the arrival of Sunday, as it means they can finally go out and relax without being abused by the pig food in the school cafeteria. Therefore, Jiang Yuan's appearance as if there was no one around and he was enjoying his meal, which made his classmates see it, and a strong sense of sympathy naturally arose. This girl is also too miserable. She can eat this kind of pig food so happily, how unhappy her life is. Ling Weiwei, who was also in class 3 of grade 1, witnessed this scene. She had a more masculine personality, was righteous, and had a chivalrous demeanor. She immediately remembered Jiang Yuan, who had no previous presence in the class. Ling Weiwei is not only recognized as the class flower among male groups, but in fact, she is also popular among female groups. Due to her healthy wheat-colored skin, she is beautiful, delicate in appearance, and has a decent temperament. Her personality is very atmospheric, and she is born with a big sister style, which can unite people very well. As the head of the dormitory, she is also deeply loved by her roommates, who even call her husband. She also serves as the life committee member in the class. Zhang Xiaolan happens to be in the same dormitory as Ling Weiwei, and she respects her very much. She has long gossiped about her desk mate Jiang Yuan in the dormitory, but at that time, everyone just listened casually. After all, it was just personal speculation and there was no strong evidence. But now, the situation is different. Jiang Yuan didn't just carry out the clean your plate campaign on this day. In order to complete the task, she had to do it for 7 days. Moreover, she tries to minimize the variety and quantity of dishes she serves each time, which makes it more convenient to complete the task. And this situation, of course, further proves that Jiang Yuan's family conditions are not good. Although they love to eat pig food so much, they cannot enjoy it to the fullest. This cannot be described as miserable, but rather as miserable in capital letters. There are basically no classmates who can truly take action and express their sympathy, even if they feel miserable and empathetic. After all, they sympathize and pity in their hearts, and do not need to give anything substantial. Moreover, they are completely unfamiliar with Jiang Yuan, and it is normal for them to be indifferent and aloof. But in this world, there are always some lovely and kind people who are willing to truly take action to help the weak. When Jiang Yuan, the weak, completed the task of clean your plate campaign on the 5th day, Ling Weiwei, who was upright, could not stand it. When Ling Weiwei saw Jiang Yuan's tragic situation on the first day, she did not act recklessly, but chose to continue secretly observing and letting the bullet fly for a while. After observing for 5 consecutive days, she finally confirmed that Jiang Yuan, a girl with a weak sense of existence and a thin body, was indeed from a poor family. She couldn't even bear to eat well and probably attended classes hungry every day. This can explain why young girls are so thin, which at first glance indicates malnutrition, maybe even anemia, otherwise why are their faces always colorless? And malnutrition will definitely lead to poor immunity and frequent illness. Yes, everything is right. Even though life is so difficult, Jiang Yuan, a resilient girl like a wild grass, still smiles at life, seemingly living happily every day. What kind of optimistic spirit is this? Ling Weiwei fiercely brainstormed the tragic story behind Jiang Yuan, adding many scenes to the other party on her own, which moved her to death. At noon on the 6th day, Jiang Yuan was still alone, happily dining in the cafeteria. The thought that she could complete this challenge tomorrow made her even happier. With the foodie entry, she could taste delicious food to her heart's content in the future. Within nearly a week, Jiang Yuan self-taught singing with the assistance of the system, striving to improve her singing skills, and then she could spend her happiness points to upgrade. At the same time, she tirelessly accumulated happiness and always had fun when she could. She also unexpectedly earned a small amount of pain. The most popular mobile game in the parallel world of China is still King of Glory. Jiang Yuan used to enjoy playing this game to pass the time, but she played it very well and could only reach the diamond rank in a single row. Since there are also pesticides in this world, pesticides, starting, is also a way to accumulate happiness. And now with the blessing of the Hugan entry, she may be able to achieve a high score and smoothly advance to the rank of king. During the process of using pesticides, she confidently trained as a hero in the ranking, resulting in a disastrous situation for her teammates. Some teammates with extremely poor mentality and started scolding when they were at a disadvantage naturally broke through their defenses and contributed their pain points because of her. Although Jiang Yuan was quite embarrassed about this, she went to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com but was pleasantly surprised to see the unexpected pain value obtained. Lu, the more you suffer, the greater my gain. In fact, her teammates were also cheated in the early stages, and in the later stages, with her current carry ability, she can lead everyone to turn things around. Isn't that double the joy? She also discovered an interesting fact, which is that as long as she turns on the microphone and encourages her teammates with her soft and cute voice, they all become polite and gentlemanly. There are quite a few hot sheep, and everyone works together, and there is a high chance of a successful comeback. Of course, there are also some rebellious teammates who believe that she must be a tough guy who uses a voice changer to tease everyone. Otherwise, why is her operation and consciousness so good? Female players cannot be so strong. Unfortunately, pesticides are just a game, and there are only a few players who will suffer severe damage and pain from playing games. Therefore, this method of earning pain points is equivalent to earning pocket money, and the efficiency of obtaining pain points is too low. However, she still managed to purchase the 3 restricted blind boxes in the mall through the pain points accumulated by her teammates through playing pesticide traps. However, she didn't rush to open them. Opening blind boxes is like drawing cards, and it is necessary to take a bath, change clothes, burn incense, worship, and complete mystical activities on an auspicious day in the Chinese zodiac to ship. At this moment, Jiang Yuan was eating happily when he saw a beautiful girl holding a plate walking up to her and saying, "Jiang Yuan, can I sit here?" "Sure, just sit down." Jiang Yuan recognized her classmate Ling Weiwei. Ling Weiwei gently lowered the plate and looked at Jiang Yuan with a cautious expression. Jiang Yuan glanced at the other person's plate and thought to herself that the girl's appetite was quite large, the plate was full, and there were so many meat dishes to be served, such as chicken legs, pork ribs, and pork tenderloin. Everything. Chapter 10. Ling Weiwei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It is obvious that Ling Weiwei's appetite is not that large. The reason why she eats so many dishes is to feed Jiang Yuan. She admitted that her brain was getting more and more focused, so much so that after impulsively taking so many dishes in one breath, she regained her senses and surprisingly felt some flesh pain. Ling Weiwei's family is not very wealthy and can only be considered as a moderately prosperous family. Her home is in an ordinary small town in Jiangnan. Her father is a worker in a glass factory in the town, and with his qualifications, he is also considered a middle-level worker in the factory. Her mother runs a hair salon in the town, and the combined income of the two is more than enough to support her. And her parents still dote on her only daughter very much. Her food and clothing are not inferior to those of girls from the city, and she also manages enough pocket money. Mainly because Ling Weiwei has been sensible and energetic since she was young. Her previous high school entrance exam results were already sufficient for the best high school in the county, but she was not satisfied. She managed to pass the provincial recruitment exam at Jiangzhou No. 1 High School and was admitted to this top-notch high school in the province. Nevertheless, as she was not assigned to the first 2 experimental classes, she secretly cried because she relied on her abilities from elementary school to junior high school and was in the best class. Later, when she found out that although the 3rd class in the first year of high school appeared to be an ordinary class, on the surface, the actual allocation of teaching staff was about the same as the first 2 experimental classes. It was only then that she had a slight balance in her heart and even secretly vowed to catch up. She was the kind of girl who was particularly ambitious and strong. The top high school in the provincial capital almost gathers the best students in the province, and the competition pressure is naturally high. Therefore, Ling Weiwei calmly accepted the fact that she only took the bottom exam and only ranked 27th in her class and 116th in her grade. However, if she can maintain a score of around 100 in her grade all the time, she can easily attend a prestigious bar dance university. Ling Weiwei was not intimidated by this competitive pressure. It has been less than a month since the start of high school, and everyone is on the same starting line. She is confident that she will come first. In short, her parents have no worries about spoiling Ling Weiwei, a precocious and sensible daughter, no matter how much they spoil her. The reason for Ling Weiwei's pain is also very simple. Although she has a lot of pocket money, she is very planned when spending money and rarely impulsive in spending. She buys things online and only gets coupons or discounts. She goes to the supermarket to buy things and also likes to buy discounted products. If she can pick up wool, she will pick up wool. She is also not fond of famous brands, and pays great attention to cost-effectiveness. This is not to say that she is stingy, but rather that she is naturally so. Perhaps because she has the best grades in mathematics and is very sensitive to numbers, she insists on achieving the ultimate use of money. Before feeding Jiang Yuan, Ling Weiwei was naturally thinking about how to speak appropriately without hurting the other person's self-esteem. She also had contact with classmates from poor families in junior high school and, to the best of her ability, extended a helping hand. However, some sensitive classmates were unwilling to accept her kindness at all, and even developed jealousy and resentment, which in turn slandered her for deliberately setting up a character and being a hypocritical holy mother bitch. Ling Weiwei's overly beautiful appearance and chivalrous personality make her easily welcomed by her classmates and easily slandered. Fortunately, she has a strong inner strength and always strives for a clear conscience in everything she does. Jiang Yuan, can you share some of the vegetarian dishes you made with me? Ling Weiwei tentatively said. Jiang Yuan's face showed a slightly puzzled expression, but of course, she still said generously, sure, what do you like to eat? You can pick it up yourself, don't be polite. It's good for someone to help her speed up the clean your plate campaign, not to mention that the other party is still so beautiful. It's also sad to say that in Jiang Yuan's past life, from high school to college, he never had a beautiful girl accompany him to eat in the cafeteria. She couldn't help but take a closer look at Ling Weiwei, who had shoulder-length hair, bare bangs, chestnut hair with some natural curls, imposing red phoenix eyes, and extremely delicate facial features. Ling Weiwei's beauty exudes a sense of aggression, which is why boys recognize her as the class flower, but cannot muster the courage to take action. Furthermore, it is a slight pity that Jiangzhou No. 1 High School has strict dress code regulations for students in order to prohibit comparison. Except for weekends, students must wear school uniforms every day. The school uniforms are not Japanese-style JK uniforms, but classic blue and white loose sports school uniforms that can cover up girls' figures tightly, which undoubtedly reduces Ling Weiwei's charm. Ling Weiwei couldn't help but feel certain in her heart when she saw Jiang Yuan so generous, she just felt that this girl didn't seem as sensitive and introverted as rumored. And Jiang Yuan's self-introduction of social influencer is also constantly making efforts, making Ling Weiwei's first impression when communicating with her quite good. After casually taking a few bites of Jiang Yuan's vegetarian dishes, Ling Weiwei picked up the large ribs from her plate and placed them on Jiang Yuan's plate. She went to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and said in a crisp and sharp tone, Jiang Yuan, I don't want to eat your vegetarian dishes for free. I'll trade my meat dishes with you. I accidentally mixed too many meat dishes today, so I won't be able to eat them. In order not to waste food, I can only ask for your help. Jiang Yuan was stunned for a moment, but she didn't directly refuse Ling Weiwei, but she always felt that this kind of operation was a bit familiar to her. After reading online articles, she immediately remembered that in order to prevent the impoverished treasure girl from going hungry, the male protagonist used the above methods to brush the favor of the treasure girl. Jiang Yuan's favorability was not successfully brushed off, but to be honest, Ling Weiwei had already won her favor with that face. Who could refuse to make friends with such a beautiful young lady? However, Jiang Yuan naturally wouldn't deliberately pretend to be a poor girl to take advantage of others. She responded by saying, Ling Weiwei, today I can help you eat the extra vegetables, but I hope you don't do it again in the future. I feel like you misunderstood something. Ling Weiwei thought to herself that I misunderstood something. It's clear that you don't want to accept my kindness for a long time because of your self-esteem, but I just can't see you not eating enough every day and still looking so thin. A confident girl like her always has some arrogance, believing in her own judgment without doubt, and never dies until she reaches the Yellow River. Ling Weiwei had a great first impression of Jiang Yuan, and now that she had close contact with her, she realized that the person who often lowered her head had a delicate and charming face, and her skin was still her envious, cold white skin. She also had a pitiful and delicate temperament. How could she be willing to let such a beautiful girl go hungry? So, like coaxing a child, she doted and said, maybe I misunderstood. Anyway, you must be full today.